Okay. Was sniffing coke. Okay, maybe not. How's it going? If there's anyone in here, how's it going? Today, in about 30 to 40 minutes, probably 30 minutes, we're going to cover the Bank of Canada's decision on rate. So we're going to have a small analysis from my part. As good as I can do with banking stuff. And for the rest, we might talk a little bit about politics, but mainly I would want to get back into code. So that's the idea today. So the first thing I want to laugh about today, okay, just before we get started, while we're waiting for people to get in here. Let me get the clip first. Alright, so in Canada, we are part of the Commonwealth, which means that this guy is our king. So, look, if you dig into King Charles' past, you'll probably find a couple of things that are unsavory, and that he's not necessarily the best guy, okay? But, from what I've seen, I think that he's trying to do good things with his kingship. I don't know how to say it any other way. So, lately, he went to, by lately I meant yesterday, he went to the Congress in the US, and he had a speech. And that might be because, well, because Keir Starmer is probably fucking crying at him, telling him, please, my king, you need to distract Mr. Trump. We're getting fucked. Please. He's saying that he's going to annex the Falkland. He's going to let them annex the Falkland. My lord. So, anyway, he went to the US. And I gotta say, I didn't watch the full speech, but the TLDR from Reuters at the end, it shows something pretty funny to me. Like, the timing of things was, it was good, okay? Let's just watch it. This is a short little clip. Let's watch it. We'll watch it. And it's from Reuters, okay? It's a good company. We like Reuters here, okay? Let's remove that. And let our king speak.
Of great we meet in times of great uncertainty, in times of conflict from Europe to the Middle East, which pose immense challenges for the international community and whose impact is felt in communities the length and breadth of our own countries. We meet too in the aftermath of the incident not far from this great building that sought to harm the leadership of your nation and to foment wider fear and discord. Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed.
So one thing that is kind of funny is that you see that, like, because he's a king, he's not supposed to be fucking clapped at every 2 fucking sentence. He's supposed to, like, give the fucking signal or some shit. So he looks fucking awkward each time that they're clapping. He's like, oh, okay, what the fuck? But hold on, okay, hold on, it's coming.
Whatever our differences, whatever disagreements we may have, we stand united in our commitment to uphold democracy, to protect all our people from harm, and to salute the courage of those who daily risk their lives in the service of our countries. The story of the United Kingdom and the United States is at its heart a story of reconciliation, renewal, and remarkable partnership. From the bitter divisions of 250 years ago, we forged a friendship that has grown into one of the most consequential alliances in human history. I pray with all my heart that our alliance will continue to defend our shared values with our partners in Europe and the Commonwealth and across the world. And
wait for it. They clap too quick.
And that we ignore the clarion calls to become ever more inward-looking. We meet in time.
No! Like that whole fucking setup. It's like, oh, we've been liking each other since fucking centuries. We've worked together. And we shouldn't be fucking retard that starts tariffs. No! What a timing! Oh man. My king! Alright. Apart from that, in the news today, there also was the fact that it's kind of confirmed that that essentially the supreme leader of Iran doesn't have full control, and it's the IRGC commanders that are in charge, which we knew, but it's kind of a confirmed thing. And they also confirmed that there's no fractured government, and by that I mean that it's not, we're not in a place where we have like, let's draw Iran. Okay, that's a bad fucking drawing of Iran. Okay, that's Iran. We would need to stretch it a little bit more for it to work, but anyway. Okay, that's Iran. It's not as if it's like we've got the regional divide and we've got some fucking warlords over each one of them. There's still regional divides, of course, in Iran, and different like groups of people want to have more or less control over like their own territory. But at the end of the day, everything goes back to Tehran, Big T, where the military commanders have their own little council and they're making the decision. But the issue with these kind of things is because they don't want to get fucking murked, because they don't want to die, it takes a long time to do decisions. So we've seen, I could say, at times it takes them 2 to 3 days to respond. God damn, that's a long time to know if you're going to fucking send some missiles. You know what? We don't know if there's going to be a war. Let's wait 2 to 3 business days for an Iranian answer for it. Anyway, that's a nice meme. Now we got to get back into this shit. So let's keep ourselves a little timer here. Do we have the YouTube coverage for the Bank of Canada? Let's just check because I want to be reminded. Yeah, let's put that, I guess. Why is it cut out? Can I? Okay. It's 10:30. Why is it 10:30 and on the website it says 9:45? God damn. They're baiting my ass. 29 waitings. We're in with the TD executive, the RBC. We're in with the big ones. Just waiting. Fucking. What's the result? Tell us. Tell us, Tiff, we need to know. Okay. Alright. Okay. So we gotta work on this shit. Let's put back the music. We put that too. Alright. I'm still waking up, so yeah, we're getting through it. Oh shit, I have a coffee that I made. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll go put some sugar in it. Okay, we have the copy. Okay, a question popped into my head. How much does it cost Canada to have the royals? How much money does Canada spend for the royal family? Like in 58 million. That's not that much. Oh, and they're talking about support to Governor General's funding? God damn, it costs fucking nothing! That's such a win for us. Okay, anyway. Oh man! We're doing good. Alright. I'm going to fucking sneeze. Pew! Okay. Okay. So we already have a bunch of fucking class. Okay, TLDR about where we are, just so that, like, I have a fucking note somewhere that talks about things. So, right now, we have a parser. The parser goes through a file. And when it reads the file, the way that we have it set up is it will... Fuck you. It will read the whole file, but it will also, like, parse it like a compiler. So if there's an include, it will go down the include, it will read the include too. But it won't output the include to us. So whenever we read it back, when we read the tokens, because right now we're extracting the tokens from it, we're able to have all of the information of each part of said file. So each small part of it, like if we have a struct, if we have like the name of the struct, we're able to know that is that, like we know what is what, right? So right now we have all of those tokens. So we have a couple of things that we need to be able to do. So number one is we need to be able to know, did I do a print screen over print screen? That's a fun one. Is we need to know when a statement ends. So let's open Bootland. I'm just like mag dumping knowledge onto your head right now because I have it in my skull, so. Are we still not having a RC1? Okay, we have an RC1. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, so let's take bind.h, which is our favorite one. So for example, it's very important when with directives to know when they end, right? So we need to be able to go tag by tag. So in the directive, the hashtag, the hash symbol is the start of the directive. It's one token. The ifdef is another token. The Linux underscore lock bind.h is another token. So we need to be able to know, like, this starts here, this starts that there, and let's point to each part of this shit, right? So that's one thing. Now, the second thing is we need to be able to extract the utility, the, like, what the fuck it does from each part of things. For example, here, we need to extract the fact that there's this new name, and there's this new, like, declaration name, and it's a struct. We need to know that the struct is just like a generic command, and that this is the name linked to this, right? Same thing here. We need to know that this is the type of whatever the fuck this is going to output, that this function is going to output. So we need to be able to bind all of that within our already existing framework, or at least update our framework so that it can be, so that we can add that information. And the goal of that will be that we should be able to know, we should be able to do a couple of things. So first of all, we should be able to have every part of this file inside of tags that will tell us that we have a comment here, we have an ifdef here, we have a define here, so that we can reference them and see if a file changed in the future. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we're going to have a map, and that map will allow us to highlight things in a very cool way. So, for example, that ifdef, we're gonna have an highlight that goes like this, that essentially says, this is an ifdef. We're gonna have a second highlight, well, it's not really an highlight at that point, but we're going to have like a focus here that allows us to click it, that allows us to say this is the name of the thing, we're going to have another thing that goes in and that essentially shows the full duration of that if-def, the full size of that if-def. So that way, you're going to be able to have like a little control panel at the top. You're going to have your little control panel. And depending on which one you select, you're going to have these like highlight, do this, or do like the whole fucking thing, or do only this. So, or you could say like just highlight the directives, which you could do this. So this will allow us to essentially build more than any other tool that exists currently, right? We're going to be able to do more with the data that we use than any other existing tool. So that's the idea here. So let's get to it. So the big issue here, maybe I should just put like a fucking reminder here. Reminder. So 1, we need tag. 2, we need map. 3, if they can be in AST, in AST class, they should. Okay. So we need to keep in mind that we need to have the data for a tag, we need to have the data for a map, and we need to put everything inside of the AST class. Now, when I'm talking about the AST class, I'm talking about these class that we've created. So essentially, these class are generic class that always have an extract method, and that extract method allows us to do some crazy shit with it and to like store a whole bunch of good things through it. So we use these, we store them in big ass arrays, and whenever we want to shove everything into our DB, we do .extract, and it will shove everything into the DB. So, well, not directly into the DB, but you get it. We have a whole system for that. So right now, we had a very simple system for these, which essentially did nothing more than create a tag for it and the ability to compare tags. Now, oh shit, this is going to not work anymore. Anyway, there's some like big things that we have to rework here in order for this to work. Okay, the question that I'm having right now in my head is just that currently we're comparing the output. No, I'm retarded. I think I'm retarded. Yeah, I'm probably retarded. I'll need to think about that later. But for now, let's get some more of that sweet coffee. I need to wake the fuck up. Feels good. All right. So now that I've yapped enough, we have to use these to make things work. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Sorry if I flashbang you a lot today. I'm just trying to get into it. All right. So processed element will be our place that we put things whenever we're done with them. So does that make sense? Yes, it does. Okay. So we're enumerating the tokens. That's okay. And we are passing CS because we might use it. Or not, who the fuck knows. Okay. And then we do match token kind. So we look... Oh no, we're passing this. Okay, that's something for later. Let's not look at that. Okay, let's try to go one thing at a time, right? one thing at a time. So let's think about, do we want to start with the if-def? No, let's start very simple. Let's start with a define, right? So the define, can I have an output? I hope I haven't fucked my things up and that we're going to be able to print things. Print, please, get there. Okay. I should really remove the dates. Let's take care of that. Python logging. Why did I put L in front? Okay, Python logging format. Thank you. Thank you. Get me to format. Can I have a dumb example that I can use? Nah. I'm way too lazy for this, bro. I'm way too lazy. Get me the fuck in. Okay, so that would be what I want. Oh, let's get this. Can I do this? And this. Oh, level is the basic level, right? Okay, I think this should work. I just don't want to have that fucking giga print. I'm using fucking way too much today. I need to chill. That was efficient! Alright. Let's get to the top. Here we're looking at bind.h, essentially from the view of our system. So, okay. First we have the spelling of the thing. Then we have what it is. Then we have, well, the token. Then we have the cursor. Because the token refers to the actual thing of text. And then we can ask it, what's your cursor related to that? And it will give us the cursor related to the longer, string, the longer detail of what the fuck this is. So here, let's just start with that, right? Let's start by thinking about that. Let's get that here. That's good. Nope. Here. Okay. So first thing that we should check with that is what kind of token it is. Because if it is a kind comment, fuck, I need to get better with this. Okay. If it is a token kind comment, like this, we should detect it and we should dump it directly as a token, right? We should do the procedure for a token. So here, token, processed element, and we give the extent of the token, which should give us the start of the comment to the end of the comment. And we store that in processed element. But here we're only putting the line. We should also put AST token thingy, AST comment, in order to like have an actual AST link to that. Okay, like that. And here Okay, it's just a direct line thingy. Cool. So you're telling me that we don't have a AST comment at the top? That might be. Here we go. Alright. Okay, so now we store the start of the comment, the end of the comment. Is there anything else that we want about that comment? I don't think we do. So we should be good to go with the comment. Check, we're done. We don't have to think about the comment again. Hello, MB. How's it going? How is your life? We're going to get into the banking stuff whenever it gets there. I'm waiting on them with the 56 TD executive. But for now, I'm trying to get back into it, but I'm still waking up. How's your day right now? How's your waking up moments? Okay, how have you been waking up? I hope that I'm making it a little brighter, okay? No matter what answer you give, I hope that I'm making it brighter. That's my goal. Oh no, SMB crashed? Oh no, okay, badly, but I'm happy to look at code. True! Okay, just on my side it says 0 viewers, so I was like, oh no, MB is dead. But we're good. Yes. Yes, it's good to have a mind for code. It feels like I'm just starting and I'm feeling good about it. Not yet. Don't die, okay? I cannot let you die, and I'm sure that your daughter wouldn't let you die, okay? She doesn't want to, not now. Give her some time, goddammit. You impatient fuck. Wait. You can die later? Oh my, oh my. I had something that I wanted to say about what you sent to me. Oh yeah, the Ozempic thing. Thank you for sending that to me. Like I said, I knew about the patent thing, but Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is a good, strange movie. What? Is this a real movie, or are you saying that it would be a good movie name? Oh lord, okay. God damn, it's recent. What the fuck? Alright, that sounds fucked. But yeah, thank you for letting me know about the generics. I'm interested with that. And you know what? I should probably read on that pay scale thing. Like, I read the article real quick, let's be honest. Yeah, I have no, like, vision for how the pay scale works. But I know that I fucking love our pharmaceutical alliance thingy that we have. Like, it's literally how I want most things in Canada to look like. So, yeah, I'll probably read into it. And just to clarify something, I should probably say it each time that I talk about this. Whenever I say, like, Ozempic for all and, like, genocide obesity, I'm saying that with full knowledge that we cannot do it only with, only with Ozempic, right? Other treatments are part of it. And I think that it should be, like, it should be made clear that we're talking about, if not all, like, most obesity treatment should be at the government's cost. And the jokes that, not joke that you did about the provincial government taking the money and making it, making it into private hospital. Goddamn, I would be so fucking triggered if we got that far. Like, we're that close to having the perfection and these assholes put it in something else. I would, you know what? At that point, I would go and protest, okay? I'm not the type of guy who yells out, but I would probably be in my nearest fucking park yelling alone. And they would have to remove me from the park, okay? There's somebody having a mental health crisis in the park. They fucking got it! They fucking did it! 60% of people will regain weight when the treatment ends. It is the best result of all method to lose weight, including surgery. Yes, the problem with weight loss, I 100% with you. The problem with any weight loss is that there's, like, if you got there in the first place, you're gonna need to have a pressure. You're gonna need to, like, continue something to okay, fuck. Let me make it simpler so that I don't have to talk about it long. I'm not I brought it up, okay? I'm not saying that you're making it. Like, let's say that the way that you should be at these red line. Like, you should be slimmer to these red line, okay? Like, my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that all the treatments that exist on the market right now, including Ozempic, what they essentially do is they apply some kind of pressure to get you slimmer. But once that pressure is removed, if we remove the arrow, you'll not swell back, but like, you'll eat yourself back. You'll get there, right? You'll just get there. So, like, when I'm saying Ozempic for all, also, I'm fully thinking about this is going to be something that we're gonna need to give until these people, like, pass away. So that's like normal. It's just that I don't think that, maybe I'm wrong, but from my vision of this, from how I see this, most of the time when people are overweight, it's like it's technically their responsibility. It's technically, like, their fault if we, like, look in a retarded way, like a strictly, like, one person way. But as soon as you expand things a little further and you look how they were brought up, how, like, they were educated, how their life has been, how, like, all of this, like, it makes it so you cannot blame them, right? You cannot blame someone for being obese to some point, not removing them the agency, but just saying that, like, there's some point where if you were dealt shitty cards, you're going to end up with a shitty hand. That's just how it is. So helping these people permanently, to me, is just like the child tax benefit, right? The child doesn't choose where it's born. The child is born. So we should make sure that it's not starving. And that's what the child tax benefit is, right? Well, the Canadian child benefit. Fuck, yeah. Didn't want to draw you away from code. No, I'm the one yapping. I like to yap. You literally want to fit, want people to fit in a box, lol. Fuck, that's not what I'm saying. You know that's not what I'm saying. You're joking. You're joking. No, but you get my analogy. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. And if you disagree with anything, you can fucking bash me over the head. I want the knowledge, okay? You probably know way the fuck more about any of this, and I respect that. And that's also why I'm yapping. I get it, and it was almost a good one. You know what? You should. That's your problem, okay? That's your problem. There is rage bait. There is jokes. And you, like, normally things fit like this, right? They fit like on that way. And sometimes your statements fit like this. And it's just like, it starts with something that I read and I'm like, is he calling me a retard? And then it's like, Oh, it's a joke. So that's why I react that way. And while we're talking about that, on the rage bait side, there's Nigma, okay? Nigma is... Nigma talking about anything, okay? Breathing, that's Nigma. Okay. Yep, exactly how I see my humor in that. That's good, that's good. It was a medium one. Okay, let's talk about food. Medium, well done. Okay, that's enough. Enough. Rage bait levels activated. Okay. We like rage bait in here with Rust coming in and like saying, here come this Canadian retard again trying to do things without... Man, he's going to say like one tool that he hasn't even tested but is pushing me to use for some fucking reason. Anyway, back to... We've done the comments. Now, we're gonna skip the if-def because it's a bit more complex. We're gonna go for the define. Define! Okay. Define. Normally, I increase the absurdity plus of my comments over time until the interlocutor get that it was a joke. Yes, but I'm... here in chat, it is impossible to do. Yes, and I'm also always pushing on each fucking statement, so that's probably not helping. Like, you say something like... I like cats because they're sexy. And I'm like, what the fuck are you saying, sexy? Are you a fucking pedophile? Like, I'm a bit quick on the trigger, okay? I drank coffee and it works, okay? Fuck this, it's 9:49. Let me just confirm that I'm not a complete buffoon, because they say 10:30 in here, and they say 9:45 in there, so it fucks my brain, okay? Let's... Okay, we've got our update. Good fucking news. It hasn't changed. It has not... Oh, they have not updated it. But anyway, it has not changed. So, yes, okay. I wanted to be sure. Yeah. Oh fuck, there's a statement. Maybe we should read it real quick. I've seen sexy cat on the internet. Yeah, okay. Or being dumb. Or being dumb. Okay, fuck. I'm gonna read this. Okay, I want to read it. So, just before we start, quick theory here. Quick theory. Things I want to know. Things I want to know from the Bank of Canada. I want to know if they have some update on household consumption. That would be interesting to me, because we would be able to know... maybe I should just fucking use text like a goddamn adult. Oh, it's small as shit. Will it keep it, like... Oswald, bold. Oh, that's my type of bullshit. Let's use semi-bold. Biggest size, okay. Maybe that's more readable. Oh, but red is probably not a good color. Orange? Orange work for you? Let's just see if I can make this. Okay. Yeah, I think it works. Okay. So, first thing that I want to see is household spending. If there's any change, what's going on with it. Second thing that I want to see would be vindicating mark. Jesus. Jesus. Fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Carney. So, essentially, we've looked in the past... Fuck. Okay. the fuel excise tax was removed temporarily until September. I think it's September. I'm 99% sure of that. What I want to know is if the decision was on a... It was like really fucking close that they were going to put the rate up. Then that kind of vindicates Mark Carney. Because what that would say... Maybe I should word this with a bit more. Red is okay. Orange is better. Okay, I'll keep it orange. Good. Okay, so that's my quick understanding of how the policies are made, how they're baking the freaking cake. So that's like the... Well, in reality, okay, that's the 3%. That's 3% inflation. That's 2% inflation. Essentially, the central bank wants us to bounce like this. A little under, well, under the 3, but over the 2. And maybe dipping under sometime. But if we're dipping under, we can cut the rates a little bit. Now the issue is that this inflation number is derived from things that don't really make sense to the greater economy. And by that I mean that if oil price go up, inflation also go up. So oil, inflation. I'm doing this very quick right now. So oil go up, inflation goes up. But also, putting the rates up is retarded, right? Because if you put the rate up because of oil going up, it doesn't actually solve anything. Your price of oil will still be up. It will just make sure that everything else, the value of everything else will fucking drop because you're essentially imposing a mini recession on your economy in order to bring down the inflation. So that the central bank wants to avoid. They really don't like that. They really don't want that. So the idea here is that if that number, that inflation number, goes over 3, does something a little retarded, like it goes too high, the bank has to answer, even if it's totally oil related, because if they don't, they look like people that are just going to sit on their hands and do nothing while the economy is like fucking tanking, right? So they have to answer. So the idea of removing the fuel excise tax is you're trying to essentially blunt the pressure of oil to the inflation, so to like smudge it a little bit. So instead of having that arrow going the fuck up, it goes like this, right? When you do the same calculus. So by having that arrow not go as up, there's kind of a cover that the Bank of Canada can say, we're still within our good range. We can just fucking wait. Chill the fuck down. So that's why, right now it looks good for Mark Carney at least. They're not moving the rates, probably because they have some good cover. The data looks good, and from their point of view, there's nothing stressful about what's going on. And the pressures, the inflationary pressures from the heightened oil price, at least they're not that bad. So here, what we want to know, if I go back to the start, those two scenarios, where were we between that, right? Because if we are talking about the higher scenario, where shit was fucked, if there wasn't the this excise tax change, well then, Mark Carney is a fucking god. If we're talking about a thing where essentially it would have changed nothing, then I'm not sure I'm happy about that fuel excise tax, okay? About us removing it. So we're trying to gauge from the commentary that we're going to get on the Bank of Canada where we are within that range. Are we talking about something that they're going to talk over and over again about the high price and about the fact that they were really weighing in a rate hike if we're continuing to see these item price? Because if that's their wording, that means that Mark Carney essentially saved us from a rate hike, which is very fucking good. All right, that's a good yap, okay? That's a good fucking yap. I think I was clear. Let's go. Let's read this real quick. The Bank of Canada today held its target overnight rate at 2.25, with the bank rate at 2.5 and the deposit rate at 2.20. The evolving conflict in the Middle East is causing heightened volatility, and the US trade policy continues to reshape global trend patterns. Both are outgoing sources of uncertainty. The bank's April outlook assumes tariffs remain unchanged and the global benchmark price of oil declines to $75 per barrel in mid-2027. Okay, so you see that when we were talking yesterday about like where our price are going to be, we're on the same line here. We're talking about next year, mid-next year, we're getting back to 75, which is higher than we were, of course, at the start of the year. So, yeah. I don't know if that's interesting to explain each of these numbers. Fuck, I'll do it in 2 seconds. So, interest rate in Canada, the way that they work, we have a range. And we have the top of the range, which is, fuck, the bank rate. That's the rate at which 2.5. That's the rate at which institutions and people that are plugged into the Bank of Canada can borrow money overnight. So if they put down a bond, so if they give a bond to the Bank of Canada, they can get cash at the 2.5 rate. Now, the middle one, the overnight rate, is kind of a market rate. So essentially they're saying, when you trade between your friend, so when TD wants to lend money because they have too much money on their hand overnight, and RBC needs money, I'm doing an example here that with two banks, that's the price that they should set it. So that same exchange, bond on one side and cash on the other, the target that they're going for is 225. So the idea of that range is that the Bank of Canada wants to be a lender of last resort. They don't want to lend money all the time. They want the market to take care of it, because when they lend money, they kind of fuck the money supply a little bit, because they're adding money onto the money supply, or if they're not doing that, well, it's a little bit complicated. Let's not go there, because they have to do some complicated auction shit, and it becomes complicated. Anyway, the deposit rate, so 2.20, is what you get if you decide to do that transaction that RBC and TD is doing, but with the bank. So let's say that you have extra money, there's nobody on the market that needs it. Well, then TD with their extra money could give the money over to, well, loan the money over to the Bank of Canada, and the Bank of Canada would provide a nice 2.2%. So this is how the system works, and the way that they come with these numbers is, yes, the inflation and like trying to gauge things, but whenever you have a bad balance in this, so let's say that nobody trades at that 225 and everybody is asking the Bank of Canada for money, everybody is pulling from here, that means that there's probably something bad going on with the money supply, or that their rate is fucked and they need to change it. So, or the other way around is the same thing, right? So that's why there's all of these numbers. So overnight rate is that middle rate, the bank rate is that top rate, and the deposit rate is the bottom rate. All right. All right, so $75 per barrel in by mid-2027. The Iran war has led to a sharply higher energy price and transportation disruptions, diminishing growth prospect in oil importing countries and boosting inflation worldwide. In the United States, growth is still expected to be solid over the projection horizon, boosted by the AI-related investment and consumption growth. China's economy is being supported by robust exports, and the euro area, higher price for oil and natural gas, will weigh on economic activity. Financial conditions have been volatile, reflecting daily development in the Middle East and shifting market expectation for inflation and interest rate. Bond yields are modestly higher since January, while equity markets, which weakened sharply at the outset of war, have recovered. Since the start of the war, the US dollar has appreciated against most major currencies. The Canada-US exchange rates have been relatively stable. True. Overall, the global economy is expected to grow by about 3% in 2026, 2027, and 2028. Projections for inflation over the next year are revised up because of a jump in energy prices. The outlook for economic growth in Canada is little change from January Monetary Policy Report, MPR, projection. After a contraction in the fourth quarter of 2025, growth is forecast to have resumed in early 2026. That's good. Consumer and government spending are supporting economic activity, while tariffs and trade uncertainty are weighing on export and business investments. Housing activity declined in the fourth quarter and is being held back by slow population growth. Yeah, that makes sense. Economic uncertainty and ongoing affordability issues. I wonder if by housing activity they really mean like the overall, like they just take a bland GDP of, like a bland total of all transaction for housing. Because I'm not sure, would I expect less housing to be created under this? Under those conditions? Maybe. Well, there would be less demand too, and less pressure for it. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I'm at the math. The labor market is soft, with subdued employment growth over the past year, and job losses in sector targeted by the US tariffs. The unemployment rate remains in the 6.5 and 7 range, reflects both weak hiring and fewer job seekers. The bank's April forecast project GDP growth of 1.2% in 2026, rising to 1.6 in 2027 and 1.7 in 2028 as growth in export and business investment resume along a lower trajectory. With GDP, that's kind of a very pessimistic view of things. With GDP growing slightly above potential, the current excess surplus in the economy is gradually absorbed. The current excess supply in the economy, okay, now that makes sense, in the economy is gradually absorbed. While the war in Iran may alter its composition, overall GDP growth is little change in the updated forecast. Fucking hell. Since Canada is a large net exporter of oil, higher oil prices increase national income, and as consumers are squeezed by higher and increase. Okay, so they're... fuck, my brain is having a hard time. They're just talking about, like, even if, like, the economy is a little fucked by oil prices, because oil price go up, so too goes all of the industries related to it. So it kind of buoys, it floats up our GDP. CPI inflation climbed to 2.4 in March because of a sharply higher gasoline price. In the March increase, following several months of slowing inflation data, core inflation has been easing and held steady at just above 2%. In the most recent inflation report, the proportion component of the CPI basket, rising above 3%, has also declined in recent months. As expected so far, there is little evidence that oil prices have fed through more broadly to goods and services prices. but this warrants closer attention in the months ahead. Near-term inflation expectations have moved up with higher gasoline prices and still elevated food price inflation, but long-term inflation expected to remain anchored. Okay, that's kind of what we've talked about. We're gonna see in the when we're gonna talk to Tiff. Yes, we're talking to him today. Okay, I have him on the line. How's it going, Tiff? No, okay. CPI inflation will likely rise further in April to about 3%, based on the assumption that oil prices will ease. Inflation is forecast to come down to 2%, to the 2% target early next year, and will remain around 2% over the projection horizon. Okay. So we're kind of seeing it. Okay. Against this backdrop and taking into account the current projection, the Governing Council decided to maintain the policy rate at 2.25. We are closely monitoring the impact of the conflict in the Middle East and the economy is responding to U.S. and how the economy is responding to U.S. tariff and trade policy uncertainty. Governing Council is looking through the war's immediate impact on inflation, but will not let higher energy prices become persistent inflation. As the outlook evolves, we stand ready to respond as needed. The bank is committed to maintaining Canadian confidence in price stability through this period of global upheaval. Okay, so for now, I'm kind of well, it looks good for Mark Cartney, let's put it that way. So we're gonna see it in 20 minutes. We're gonna see it in 20 minutes if the Carney is right. So I hope that nobody asks questions because I'm not reading this again. But if you do, feel free. I'll just go pee real quick and then we'll try to implement the define in like 5 seconds. Hey, Andrew, how's it going, brother? Don't write dumb shit because it's on screen. Great. He meant do right dumb shit. How are you today? Paranoid. I think I'm being gangstar by Freemasons. Lol. Oh, that's why you were talking about Freemasons yesterday. You should really take antipsychotic, my friend. You should really go take medication. If the age you gave on chat last time is true, you really need to get a fucking hold of yourself, my friend. You get a fucking handle on things, and you'll see. You'll thank me later, okay? You'll look at your life and you'll be like, oh shit, I was in a bad place. Now I feel better. Alright. While we're waiting on that, let's fucking get in here, okay? So, whenever we find punctuation in the token kind, so what we need to do is start with the token, then we go to whatever the fuck the cursor says. So first of all, token. That will become true. I trust you. Okay. Nice. Okay. So we process the comment, good. We process the punctuation, and then we check the cursor. The cursor says preprocessor directives. Okay. I'm thinking ahead. I don't need to think ahead. Fuck this. Preprocessor directive. Okay. So as soon as we do that... How do I want to do this without being dumb? I should probably put some kind of code on the stack that tells us that next step we're going to have to do something about this. Or maybe we can just get all of that information through this. Fuck, because the issue that I have here... Let's take a look at this. Oh, that's fair, that's fair. Let's zoom the fuck in, okay? The issue that I have is that I don't really want to essentially recreate what we had. So I don't want to say, okay, we have that token, now we have the cursor, let's ignore everything between this line and go to the next thing. Because I feel that we're fucking things up whenever we do that. But maybe with directive, it's the only way to go about this. Like, maybe I should just do that for the directive and think about that later for the struct. Yeah, let's do that first. Okay, let's do that. So for now... Fuck. What is the advantage of doing it step by step inside of a directive? Is there any... Well, I'm a retard. There's an advantage, because if you have a fucked up define with like multiple arguments or some shit... I know it's not possible with a define, at least I don't think so, but... like if you have an if with a crazy thing at the end, parsing it step by step is actually a bit smart. It allows you better insight. Okay, how about we set a mode for directive like we did here? TID. C keyword comments. Fuck, that's a little retarded. Don't make it perfect for now. We could add more detail and analysis later. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I just need to skip that step. Yeah, alright, I'm in. So let's create... Okay. Pre-processing directive. Interesting, but it's mostly the C code, not the preprocessor. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I'm just thinking about like crazy defines right now. And that's my... Oh well, fuck. We're literally talking about defines. That's our issue right now. Fuck. Fuck. Because we're going to need to parse the define correctly. Okay, let's skip the define. Let's go with the if def first, and we'll fucking get AIDS. Who gives a fuck? Or maybe we can do the inclusion directive. Is way more complicated. God damn. Okay. Fuck. Let's go in order. In order. Order. Later, we'll manage those crazy define or send a pull requests to the kernel team to remove them. True. We'll have the biggest sway. I'm gonna be in here, be like, you gotta remove that shit, bro. Alright. So, when we have an if-def, we have the pre-processing directive. And then we have the identifier thingy. Okay, cool. So, we can do pre-processing directive. Let's add something onto the stack to just say, hey boss, have you tried a daily journal? Might help with cloudy mind pain. I'm sorry to hear. Oh, it's MBE has that for medical reason. He's getting professional help. Don't worry, Andrew. Okay, and MBE is actually doing what you should do, which is seek a fucking doctor. Oh, it's cool. I should probably keep one. It would be better than journaling my fucking life through videos. And I could maybe have a fucking constant mind for something and stop being retarded. Anyway, okay. Stack. You know what? Let's make this crazy simple for now. Let's just use characters. Okay, dumb characters. So right now we have a preprocessor or directive thingy. So we are going to append to the stack this. And then we can continue. Yeah, okay. So then we loop back over. So we have the first thing. So now to know which type of thing we have. So we enumerate through our items. And because we are currently... Let's do the match thingy. Match. Stack item. And case. And you know what? Let's do this. My job was one morning, one small goal for the day, evening, summary of the day, what was good, and what I want for tomorrow. Sounds like a good fucking thing to do. God damn. You know what? I should do that. I know that I will never do it without it being in video. I should probably just fucking yap about my goals a bit more so that we get somewhere in life. Alright. Simply fast. Highlight what went well. Yep. Indeed, it does sound good. Okay, pass. I just want to have an error here. So we can say boss. We are going to do good. Item. Here we go. I tend to write everything down. It comes to think my poetry. I want to be able to capture. Goes with key. That's provocative. What the fuck? No, okay. Because the bad is always visible and lingering for me. True, it's probably very good that you, like... Must be a little bit hard to keep optimism alive. And taking steps in order to get there is a good idea. Okay, stack. Failed. Okay, that looks good. Right. So stack item 0 if it's a hashtag. And then we get that directive thingy. Oh, I did use write creatively too. I have many notebooks for sharing stories, writing ideas, etc. That's cool. I'm not much of a writer. I'm a yapper. I appreciate... No, that's not the right word. The only word I have is I am in awe, but it's not really that much. I find it cool, people that can write, okay? I'm like illiterate, and each fucking word that I write, I feel like they're like badly written. And even if I write only for myself, it triggers me the fuck out. So I'm unable to do anything like just writing, doing this. Even if I know that nobody can read me, still provokes some amount of anxiety because I know I did some mistake. So I'm gonna try to fucking write it like that so that everyone can fucking read and I get over that retarded anxiety. So, yeah. That's where we are in life. That's where we are. Okay, so first we detect this shit. Second, we're going for the if-def in there. So if that is it, then we should seek to know, right after the hashtag, whatever the fuck the thing is. So let's capture that. Augur, so more credit maple circuit. The human brain is so powerful. Be in revere. Imagine trying to program a robot thing and write recognize those letters. Sheesh. What? I didn't get it, okay? I didn't get any of that, but I love you too, okay? I love you too. Alright. So when we are in that mode, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I feel like I'm overthinking everything. My fucking brain, bro. Okay. So we are expecting the second word to be one of those. What are those? Okay. So we should detect this. And we should probably... Okay, let's just start by outputting the right CPP concept as soon as we detect whatever the fuck this is. Or maybe not. Fuck, dude. I have such retarded limitations right now. Okay, my issue is that all of those things that we have, they require us to set things, like, right at the start. And that's not really how we want these to work anymore. So maybe... Fuck. Answers in French. Les profondeurs. Oh yeah, I think you sent me like some links and I fucking gang stalk your ass. So yeah. I read some of it, okay? I read some of it. But that's like, oh, what the fuck? Saved. Okay, saved. Let's keep it like on the side. Can I put it on screen? Give me half a second. Oh, we have a cute little song. We're getting there, okay. You know what, let's put it like in here. Or do you want top right? I guess top makes sense. Alright, we're vibing. Okay. Yeah, so right now I'm not sure how I want to split these things. Oh, we could reserve the parsing to some kind of internal function in here. Oh, that could be cool. It's been a while since I wrote a complete story worth making public. Fucker, okay. The English side is gone. My gang stopped me if I ever go to Canada. Yank it outside his window. Okay. I don't think that's something creative, my friend. That's being a fucking insane motherfucker. But yes, if you come to Canada, you can come say hi, okay? But you'll have to go to the depth of Quebec, which is probably not the place you want to be, but alright, I'll say hi to you. IT will be easy to find him, he told us. Of his lurking place. And his city is just a bit better than a village. True. Oh, fuck, he's there.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, I'm Rebecca Spence with the press office at the Bank of Canada.
Put
I
it
will
a
be
bit up.
moderating today's press conference on the interest rate announcement and monetary policy report. Le gouverneur Tiff Macklem va commencer avec sa déclaration préliminaire. Ensuite, on va tourner aux questions des journalistes. After Governor Macklem's opening remarks, he and Senior
They
Deputy
repeat in both
Governor
languages,
Carolyn
don't worry.
Rogers will be pleased to take questions until about 11:15. Over to you, Governor.
Thank you, Rebecca, and good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here with the Senior Deputy Governor, Carolyn Rogers, to discuss the Monetary Policy Report and today's decision. Governing Council maintained the policy interest rate at 2.25%. We've held the policy rate at this level since last October. We have three key messages today. First, Canada is being buffeted by global events and geopolitical uncertainties. But our economy is growing, and we expect it to continue to grow. Second, after more than a year with inflation close to the 2% target, higher global energy prices are pushing inflation up. The surge in gasoline prices, combined with still elevated food price inflation, is squeezing more Canadians. And third, monetary policy is focused on ensuring that the jump in energy prices does not turn into persistent inflation, while helping the economy adjust to global headwinds. We are committed to keeping inflation low and stable over time. On a trois messages clés. Premièrement, même si le Canada est secoué par des événements internationaux et des incertitudes géopolitiques, notre économie croît et devrait continuer de progresser. Deuxièmement, les prix mondiaux plus élevés de l'énergie font monter l'inflation qui était restée près de la cible de 2% pendant plus d'un an.
So while he's in French, this is essentially what we read about. So it's all good.
Sous pression. Et troisièmement, la politique monétaire a pour but de s'assurer que le
Always
bond des
both
prix de
language.
l'énergie ne se transforme pas en inflation persistante. Elle
I like his
vise aussi
accent.
à aider l'économie à s'ajuster au vent contraire à l'échelle mondiale. On cherche à maintenir l'inflation à un niveau bas et stable au fil du temps. Let me expand on the economic outlook, the risks, and the implications for monetary policy. Since our previous forecast in January,
What the fuck, dude?
the war in the Middle East has sent global energy prices sharply higher, boosting inflation. In Canada, growth looks to have resumed after contracting at the end
Okay.
of 2025.
I'm sorry.
Consumer and the implications for monetary policy.
We're gonna have to
Since
scroll
our
back.
previous forecast in January, the war in the Middle East has sent global energy prices
True.
sharply higher, boosting inflation. In
What the
Canada,
fuck? Fuck
growth
you! Fuck you! Okay, fuck this. We're making this faster. I wanna come back to real
looks to
time.
have resumed after contracting at the end of 2025. Consumer and government spending are contributing to growth, while U.S. tariffs and trade uncertainty are weighing on exports and business investment. The labor market is soft, with the unemployment rate remaining in the 6.5% to 7% range, reflecting both weak hiring and fewer
That's
job
exactly what we
seekers.
read, by the way.
Our forecast for GDP growth in Canada has not changed significantly since our January projection. The conflict in the Middle East will affect the composition of growth, but the impact on overall growth is expected to be small because higher global oil prices will increase the value of our energy exports, even as they squeeze
True.
consumers and many businesses. In our forecast today, the Bank of Canada projects the economy will expand 1.2% in 2026, 1.6% in 2027, and 1.7% in 2028, as growth in exports and business investment gradually resumes. With GDP growth slightly above potential, the current excess supply in the economy is slowly absorbed. Until the war, we expected inflation
how to read.
to stay close to the 2% target. But sharply higher gasoline prices are now pushing up inflation. CPI inflation rose from 1.8% in February to 2.4% in March. Core inflation has been easing and held steady just above 2% in March. The proportion of the components of the CPI basket rising faster than 3% has also declined in recent months. So far, there is little evidence that higher oil prices have fed through to other goods and services prices more broadly. But it is early days, and we will be watching this closely. We will also be closely monitoring inflation expectations. Near-term inflation expectations have moved up with higher gasoline prices and still elevated food price inflation. But longer-term inflation expectations remain anchored. Based on recent market expectations, oil prices are assumed to decline from an average of about $90 a barrel in the second quarter to about $75 a barrel by the middle of next year.
Okay, we're back.
If that happens, inflation should peak around 3% in April and then ease back to the 2% target by early next year. The Bank of Canada is committed to keeping inflation close to the 2% target over time. The monetary policy needed to achieve this will depend importantly on what happens with the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement, how the conflict in the Middle East evolves, and the impacts of US tariffs and energy prices on our economy. À notre réunion cette semaine, on a décidé de maintenir le taux directeur à 2,25%.
Oh fuck.
Le conseil de direction s'est entendu pour regarder au-delà de l'impact immédiat de la guerre sur l'inflation.
Is he going to read it all in
Mais
French?
si les prix de l'énergie restent élevés, on ne laissera pas leurs effets se transformer en inflation persistante. Selon notre prévision de référence, les prix de pétrole vont diminuer et les droits de douane américaines vont rester au niveau actuel.
Pretty cool. I think we're doing great, but I want to see what happens when he starts getting questioned by journalists. That's going to be the interesting part.
On pourrait devoir ajuster les taux directeurs selon l'évolution des risques. Mais si l'économie évolue de manière généralement conforme à cette prévision, les modifications du taux directeur devraient être modestes. Mais l'incertitude est plus élevée que d'habitude. Il y a beaucoup d'issues possibles. La politique monétaire pourrait devoir être souple. At our meeting this week, we decided to maintain the policy rate at 2.25%.
I thought it was with a high,
Governing
not with a
Council
Y.
agreed to look through the war's
But you
immediate
must be
impact
right.
on inflation, but if energy prices stay high, we will not let their effects become persistent inflation. Our baseline forecast assumes oil prices will come down and
Why
US
did he switch back
tariffs
to English?
will remain at current levels. If this holds true, a policy rate close to the current setting looks appropriate to support the adjustment in the economy and return inflation to target. There may still be a need to adjust the policy rate depending on how risks evolve. But if the economy evolves broadly in line with the base case,
He fucked it
changes
up.
in the policy rate can be expected to be small. However, uncertainty is unusually elevated, and there are many possible outcomes. Monetary policy may need to be nimble. If the United States imposes significant new trade restrictions on Canada, we may need to cut the policy rate further to support economic growth. Alternatively, if oil prices continue to increase, and particularly if they remain elevated, the risk that higher energy prices become ongoing inflation increases.
I'm a retard.
And if
He
this starts to happen,
didn't read that part.
monetary policy will have more work to do. There may be a need for consecutive increases in the policy interest rate. Of course, these are not the only possible outcomes. We'll be watching developments closely and assessing their implications for growth and inflation. As the outlook evolves, we stand ready to respond as needed. The bank is committed to ensuring that Canadians continue to have confidence in price stability through this period of global upheaval. And with that, the Senior Deputy Governor and I will be very pleased to take your questions.
All right, we'll start with questions here in Ottawa and then go to reporters who are
Fuck
joining
you,
us
Andrew.
remotely. We kindly ask that you limit yourself to one question so that we can get to every media outlet. Before asking your question, kindly state your name and affiliation. Libre à vous de poser votre question dans la langue officielle de votre choix. So we'll start with Reuters, followed by The Logic, then the Globe and Mail.
Reuters.
So go ahead, Promit.
Thanks, Becca. Good morning, Governor. With inflation in April expected to reach 3%, what is your message to households and businesses who might start demanding higher wages and the broader inflation expectations might also go up?
Well, it's not their purview.
First of all, I mean, we know higher oil prices are hitting Canadians. They're hitting businesses, they're hitting consumers. We've all gone to the gas station and filled up our tank. That's against a background where food price inflation has been running high for a number of months now. These price increases reflect global events. I mean, the best thing that could be to happen would be that these price increases go away at the source, but that's not something we can control. What can we control? What we can control is we can ensure that these price increases in particularly this surge in gasoline prices and other fuel prices, it doesn't become generalized, persistent inflation. Maintaining the policy rate today, where it is, was the right thing to do for today. And as we've indicated, if things evolve broadly in line with the outlook we've presented, and in particular, oil prices come down broadly in line with the futures curve, something close to the policy rate that we have today is probably about right. We might need a small adjustment, but I think it would be reasonable to expect small. But particularly if energy prices go higher, and particularly if they stay higher for longer, there could well be a need to increase the policy rate to get inflation back to 2%.
God damn.
And really the message is, we're committed to ensuring that inflation does stay close to 2% over time.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Good morning, Kevin Carmichael from The Logic. You had a look at how AI might be affecting productivity and updating potential output. Is that yet factoring into policy making here in the present? Maybe just talk a bit about how you're thinking about AI as you sit down to look at rate trajectory.
Well, let me put it in broader context, Kevin. There's a few things affecting potential output, and once a year, as you know, we do a comprehensive review of our assessment of potential output and the outlook for potential going forward. And that is, we do that each year in the April monetary policy report. So there is a pretty detailed appendix on that in the report. Look, there are, I would say, three key things affecting potential in the outlook. Population growth is historically very low. There's basically in our outlook, there's almost no population growth. So that means that, we're not adding new workers, new consumers, a lot of new workers, new consumers to the economy. So that lowers potential output going forward. The second factor is, and we've talked about this quite extensively in the last report and in some previous speeches, the Canadian economy is going through a structural adjustment. Our trade relationship with the United States is fundamentally changed. Businesses are adjusting to that. And as through that adjustment, that will weigh on productivity growth. Once you come out the other side, things will be better, but there is a period of adjustment. And then the third, so those two things are weighing on potential output growth, particularly in the near term. The third factor, which what you mentioned, is AI. And there's no doubt that AI is a transformative technology, and as it gets adopted by more and more businesses, and as they use it in their businesses, we do expect to see a labor productivity growth pick up. And so that we have built in a modest increase from AI in productivity growth going forward. It builds over time. I think on average, it's adding about 0.2 to productivity growth in the projection. So taking those three things together, potential output growth is fairly weak in the near term. But as the restructuring advances and as the effects of AI accumulate, productivity growth picks up going forward. So that's built into our projection. Is AI having a big effect on our policy decision right now? No. But it is built into our projection, and it could end up that AI comes faster, has a bigger effect than we've expected. It might take longer. We'll see. That's something we'll be assessing going forward.
So they're not framing
Go ahead,
for
Mark.
it.
Thanks for taking the question, Governor. So you spell out two kind of major risks. One is oil prices remain elevated and you're forced to raise interest rates. The other is the CUSMA talks take a turn for the worse and you are forced to cut. Those aren't mutually exclusive risks. What happens if we end up in a scenario where tariffs have risen, CUSMA talks have floundered, and oil prices remain high? How do you balance those risks?
Look, I provided a couple of examples, and I think the reason I provided those two examples is, those are very salient assumptions in our projection, around which, frankly, there is a lot of uncertainty, and it's not the regular kind of regular economic uncertainty. These are geopolitical events, so it's hard to assess probabilities as to exactly what's going to happen. And yes, as we outlined, the message really is that, look, today the best decision is to maintain, but monetary policy, the situation could change. Monetary policy may need to be nimble, and we provided a couple of examples. If there's significant new trade restrictions on Canada, that could have a material impact on the Canadian economy. We may need to cut to support growth. If oil prices go up, and particularly if they stay up, the risk that inflation becomes more persistent goes up, and there may need to be increases in the policy rate. And as we indicated, probably more than one, consecutive increases. Those are not the only things that could happen. To give you another example, financial markets, have been very resilient through this. We could see an abrupt repricing in financial markets. That would be, another kind of shock that we would need to take into account. And as you indicated, the reality is more than one thing. There's many combinations of these things that could happen. In laying out those two examples, and in particular in showing the alternative case in the NPR with a permanently higher oil price, what we're trying to convey is, sort of the direction and the rough magnitude of how we would respond given given some different possible situations. Obviously, if it's a combination, it's going to be even more complicated, and we'll have to weigh various factors. The point of sort of laying out these alternatives is really to give a sense of how we would likely react in certain situations.
All right, next on my list, I have the Canadian Press, followed by CTV, then Market News. So go ahead, Craig.
Thank you, Craig Lord with the Canadian Press. Mark stole my question. I can figure out another one. With the suggestion that you are prepared to potentially take consecutive increases to the policy rate if we see elevated and sustained global oil prices, what is the time frame that Canadians should be expecting you to be looking at these global oil prices? If we are at the end of the summer and we haven't seen much change in the global price of oil, should Canadians then be expecting interest rate hikes coming down the pipeline?
Look, obviously, the higher oil prices go, and the longer they're higher, the more the more likely it is that we'll have to raise rates to bring inflation back to target. But I want to stress, there is no set timeline here. It really depends on the conditions. It's going to depend, importantly, on what oil prices do, what we think they're going to do going forward. It's all going to depend on what we see. How much are higher oil prices spilling into the prices of other goods and services? How much is our outlook for inflation changing? I mean, is that substantially increasing the persistence of inflation? So it's going to depend on those conditions. So, I mean, what I would stress is it's about the shock itself, and it's about the propagation of the shock. And if we're in a situation where the shock's bigger, and in particular it's more persistent, and we see clear evidence, we see growing evidence of propagation, that would be a clear signal that yes, rates probably do need to go higher to get inflation back to target.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul. Oh, sorry, Annie. Sorry.
Sort of a similar question to one of my colleagues, but you're talking about the potential impact of U.S. tariffs, but also of higher oil prices. And the Monetary Policy Report does outline what the situation could look like if oil remains at $100 a barrel. I'm wondering, what does the bank see as more of a pressing threat to the economy? Is it U.S. trade policy, potential U.S. tariffs being added, or oil prices being elevated and remaining closer to that $100 a barrel that you talk about in the Monetary Policy Report?
I think I'd come back to thinking about it in terms of time. So in the near term, the shock that's sort of hitting us most directly is the war in the Middle East. It's pushing oil up, and that's having an immediate impact on near-term inflation. And as the governor said, if that persists, that's going to that the risk increases that oil price starts to feed into the price of other things, and we need to deal with the inflation shock. Over the longer term, the trade tensions are the bigger threat to the Canadian economy, and there, we've got a restructuring underway, but we also have a review of the trade agreement that we're expecting to happen this summer. If there is a big change in that agreement, that could also present sort of a new shock to the economy too. So sort of think about it in terms of two time frames.
Yes, and it's not
Go
really
ahead,
their
Greg.
purview to restructure the economy
Greg
for
Quinn,
this.
Market News. I wondered if having the policy rate now at the lower end of the so-called neutral range makes you a little more nervous about the potential need to tighten, and is this in another way why you're talking about a potential set of consecutive hikes?
Well, look, I would emphasize that there was a clear consensus on the Governing Council that the best thing to do today is maintain the policy interest rate where it is. But I will stress that there is no risk-free path for the policy interest rate. If we had raised rates now, and then oil prices come down in line with what the market's expecting, by the time those higher interest rates are impacting the economy, they wouldn't be needed, and we'd wished we hadn't raised the policy interest rate. But look, if oil prices stay high and we hold rates we maintain for too long, we could see higher energy prices spread to other prices of other goods and services and start to become more persistent inflation. In that case, we'll probably wish that we'd raised rates earlier. So we've got to manage both those risks, Greg. And as I said, I think there was a clear consensus that right now the best thing to do is maintain. But let me add two additional points of context. First of all, the current context is we're starting from a situation where inflation has been close to target for roughly a year and a half now. We're also starting in an economy where there's some slack. You can see it in the labor market. Our estimate of the output gap is, it's around minus 1%. So we're starting with some slack. So in that context, we don't think higher energy prices are going to be rapidly passed through to the prices of other goods and services, because when there's some slack in the economy,
I don't know what they
when
mean
the
by
economy,
slack.
labor market is soft, businesses they're cautious about passing on price increases. They're worried about losing clients. So we don't expect it'll be rapid. I think you're clearly going to see it in some places. You're already seeing fuel surcharges in some places. But we're not expecting it to rapidly broaden, but that's something that needs close monitoring. The other thing I would stress is that we know uncertainty is high, and we recognize that monetary policy may need to be nimble. If the situation changes, we may need to change course. And as I've said a couple of times, if oil prices go higher, and particularly if they stay higher for longer, that will increase the risk that inflation generalizes and becomes more persistent. And in that case, yes, we may well need consecutive increases in the policy rate to get inflation back to the 2% target.
All right. The next question will be from Bloomberg, followed by the Wall Street Journal, and then Global News. So go ahead, Najud.
Good morning, Governor. Cora is still stuck higher than the bank's target. You've given no indication you plan to fix any dislocation issues there. Is that still the case?
Sorry, can you just say the last part again? Core is above the target.
Yes. You've given no indication that you plan to fix any dislocation there. I'm just wondering if that's still the case.
Well, on core, just to take you back a bit, as you'll remember, total CPI inflation came down.
I'm asking a Cora.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to core.
Sorry.
Our target is total, Najud.
So
Don't
Cora,
forget.
I think she said.
Oh, Cora.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So
Okay. Cora, so you were talking about the fact that from time to time we need to do overnight operations.
yeah, we've got a little bit of a margin, Jude, but we have some tolerance there. So you've called it a dislocation. I guess that's maybe a stronger term than what we would choose. Our market operations are basically back to sort of normal course. Our balance sheet's back to being normalized. So we keep an eye on Cora, but I guess we wouldn't characterize it as a dislocation.
Sorry about that. Cora.
Okay, Paul.
Governor, I wanted to maybe go back to previous questions, but what I want to know is what motivated you and the governing council to provide this form of forward guidance today about, when rates may increase or when rates may decrease.
Well, Paul,
Well,
it's
based on uncertainty.
I wouldn't
that's
really
retarded.
characterize this so much as forward guidance, and it's not about when something's going to happen. It's about it's really more about our reaction function. It's about what, the governing council is very aware that there are a wide range of outcomes that are possible. And as part of our deliberations, we not only discussed what the best thing to do today is, but we also discussed what would we do if some of these other outcomes were to materialize. Because you got to recognize that when you're taking there's a lot of uncertainty, and yes, we have a baseline outcome, but we're the first ones to admit that is not the only possible thing that could happen, and there is an unusually wide range of things that could happen. So as you discuss about what the best thing to do today is, you need to also be thinking about what, how well positioned are you to deal with these other things. So that's why we discussed those, and having discussed those, I think it is useful to convey, certainly directionally, how we would handle these various outcomes. I think we're not the only ones grappling with this uncertainty. Everybody's trying to grapple with uncertainty. Our job is to be a source of stability, a source of predictability. So what we're saying is that, we're prepared to respond as needed, and, we're giving some broad strokes as to what that could look like.
All right, Mac.
Mackenzie Gray with Global News. Talk about consecutive rate cuts probably gives you, and I'm sure some Canadians who might be watching, some nasty flashbacks to where we were with COVID. What lessons have you learned from that spike, and what do you plan to do differently this time to avoid a similar inflation run-up?
Oh, that's
well,
retarded.
Maybe we could both take that one, since I think there's more than one lesson from COVID. Look, I think one of the key lessons from COVID is, as we were coming out of COVID, there was certainly a combination of shocks, very disrupted global supply chains that persisted for some time. Obviously, Russia's unprovoked attack of Ukraine really boosted food and energy prices. And the impact on inflation was large, and it was rapid. And I think one of the lessons from COVID is that when the economy's already overheated, when it's already in excess demand, an additional, a big negative supply shock that boosts global energy and food prices can spread quickly to other goods and services. And it gets back a bit to my answer to Greg. It's the flip side of it. When the economy is already in excess demand, companies are having trouble actually keeping up with all the demand for their goods and services. So when their costs go up, they're like, well, we might as well just pass this right on. We're having trouble keeping up already. Let's just pass these price increases on. And that's what we saw in COVID. Not only were companies increasing prices by more, they were increasing prices more frequently. And to be frank, as a result, our models were having trouble keeping up with how fast inflation was going up. Today's situation is quite different. The economy is in excess supply. And as I said to Greg, against that background, businesses are a bit more more cautious about.
That's what it was saying by Slack, I think. The excess supply.
Cost increases doesn't mean they won't pass them on at all. And certainly in businesses where energy is a big part of the cost structure, they have to pass some of it on. But they will tend to be more cautious. I don't know if you want to supplement that.
Well, Mark stole your question and Governor stole my answer, but maybe what I'd add is, you're right. When we're always our current thinking is always affected by what happened in the past, and it is true, big consecutive increases in the interest rate. We know that's a pressure on Canadians. But what we also learned really clearly is they don't like inflation either. Canadians don't like inflation either. So I mean, we would raise interest rates with the sole purpose of making sure we keep inflation at target. So.
All right, we'll go to the call now. I just want to remind people on the call to mute their line if they're not asking a question. So we'll go to Rob McLister.
Good morning, Rob McLister from MortgageLogic.news. You've mentioned it's especially vital to watch medium and longer term inflation expectations. So many Canadians are wondering what de-anchored expectations look like. So in the latest Business Outlook survey showed medium term or 2-year expectations at 3.4%, rising 60 basis points in a month. If the next 2-year expectations reading gets closer to 4%, would you still consider that to be anchored inflation expectations?
I think maybe what I would say,
Depends.
Rob, is when we look at inflation expectations, what we know about consumer inflation expectations, it's a bit different than business expectations. They're very affected by the current perception of inflation. And current perception of inflation is really very affected by the things you buy most often, everyday groceries and gas. And we know that the shocks we're seeing right now are pushing gas up, and groceries, food inflation has been a bit higher than headline inflation. So we keep that in mind when we look at how consumers view inflation expectations. More in general, what I would say is you need to be careful to look for trends versus month over month impacts on inflation expectations. So, we keep a very close eye. We look a little bit differently at how businesses see inflation expectations versus consumers. But what we're really looking for is an overall trend line. Is there a break point? I mean, what you're asking for, is there a number at which we completely change our view? No. We combine what we're seeing in that data with other things and other feedback we're getting and outreach and stuff. So there isn't sort of a number at which we turn from one view to another.
I just add, Rob, just to broaden this a little bit. I think one thing we're conscious of is that coming out of COVID, inflation rose rapidly to just over 8%. And for many Canadians, this was really the first material inflation they had experienced in their lifetime. And unfortunately, a whole new generation of Canadians learned just how painful inflation is. And against that background, Canadians may be more attentive, may be more aware of the risks of inflation. And as Carolyn just mentioned, particularly when it's in food and gasoline, things people tend to buy every week, it can have a very immediate effect on their inflation expectations. So, there is a risk that inflation expectations aren't as well anchored as they were, before COVID. On the other hand, we demonstrated inflation went up just over 8%. We also brought it back down to 2% relatively quickly. I won't say it was without pain. It certainly was not easy for many Canadians, but we didn't cause a recession. We got it back without a recession. And really what we saw in our own public trust, surveys of public trust in the Bank of Canada, when inflation went up to 8%, Canadians were quite rightly asking a lot of questions. Public trust in the Bank of Canada went down, but when inflation came back down and has remained at 2%, that public trust has come back down. So it on that basis, it doesn't look like the credibility of the central bank and our resolve to keep inflation close to Canadians' confidence in price stability has been eroded. So these are more psychological factors, but as we assess what's happening with inflation expectations, we are alive that, we are cognizant of the fact that how people form their expectations may evolve over time. And that's something we're certainly watching closely.
All right, that was the last question, and so that will conclude today's press conference. Thank you to the governor, senior deputy governor, for taking the questions, and to all of you for
Tiff
joining
and
us.
Carolyn.
Merci.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to unpack that shit real quick. I'll go pee before, but we're going to unpack. I'll just note down a couple of things. So, I want to go in order. So the first thing that they really talked about was the uncertainty. Fuck, that's not how you write it. I don't give a fuck. There was uncertainty. There was, I want to talk about powerlessness. I want to talk a little bit about Cora. And we can talk about COVID inflation. Was there any other retarded thing? Oh. Consumer. I don't have the name. Consumer opinion? It's not opinion. It's... Fuck. I'll write opinion. Okay. We're gonna yap about this in a quick minute. Just give me a second. Alright, let's fucking go. Okay. Okay. Let's put the music back. Let's just lower that sound a little bit. Okay. So. Oh. I didn't even resize this. Alright. So. How do we write uncertainty? I don't fucking know. Okay. So I just want to unpack a little bit what we heard. So at the start, they were kind of clear that they were making this decision, that every one of their members agree with the decision, and that it is a decision in full knowledge that right now it is a little fucked that we have the issue with Iran, we have the issue with the US, so it is normal that we should expect that rate decision to change if ever there is some major change, or maybe even lack of change if we look at Iran, with the price of oil or the trade situation with the US. So essentially what they're saying there is that we are ready to put the rates up, because remember, when the rate go up, it put a downward pressure on essentially all the price in the economy by essentially doing a small recession. So it slows everything down economically, so it breaks the price. So they're saying, hey, shit or fuck with Iran, shit or fuck with the US. Right now they're not fucked enough. We don't believe that it makes sense to do something, because it won't affect, like if we were to put the rates up, we don't see any benefit to it. And that makes a lot of sense when we're thinking about the fact that if you have oil, right? Right now the price of oil is high, right? So that's the $100 line. That's high. But let's say that the price of oil goes down around 85, right? That's a realistic target. If we resolve some shit in Iran and it goes down to 85, if they were to do a rate hike, well, you would have essentially put your fucking gun your economy down like a motherfucker for something that you won't actually affect. It won't do anything. So there's no good part of gunning down your economy if it's not to bring inflation back to where it should be. So if your inflation, let's say the CPI, if your CPI is at like 2.4 or 2.6 and you bring it down at 2, well, that's not really a good thing in and of itself if the inflation was just caused by oil. So when they're saying we're on the ready, it's just to say that if shits are fucked, we're going to act. We're going to need to act. And that's understandable. So that's good, right? That's what we expect. And that, to me, vindicates Mark Carney a little bit. Because, well, he essentially made his move for the fuel, to remove a tax on fuel. That kind of feels like he's preempting this a little bit. He's kind of trying to remove the inflationary pressures possible by an heightened fuel price. Because if your fuel cost is higher, so if gas goes up, what you don't want is you don't want your food to go up, right? Fuck. Anyway, you don't want this higher price of gas to go to food. You don't want this to go to new housing. You don't want this to go everywhere. So that's essentially what they were saying. So there's an uncertainty. We don't want this to contaminate anything else. If it looks like it will, or if it looks like it does, we're going to act. Now, a big theme that I felt throughout the whole fucking thing is that they were asking the bank about things that they have absolutely no fucking power over. So one example is the trade relationship. The bank has no power over what's going on with the trade. The uncertainty there is not controlled by them. They cannot do anything. It's okay to ask questions about how this uncertainty will affect the economy, but I feel that it's kind of retarded to ask questions like, what are you going to do? Because in reality, that's in the purview of the government, right? So the government is the one that can mitigate, that can try to fix the damage that is created by jobs being essentially destroyed out of a negotiation for trade. So, like, first, everybody knows and everybody agrees that they have no power there. The problem is that the bank can never, this is important, never say that they are powerless. Never. Did you hear them say that they cannot do something? Never, okay? The optics, the idea of the bank is it can always save you. It can always do something and it will always be there. That's the idea, that's the vibe. If you don't do that, you can tank your economy on a bad press conference. So here, it was very triggering to see a lot of people asking questions and essentially raping Tiff and Carolyn with questions being like, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And it's like, and they're essentially just describing reality, right? They were just saying like, okay, that's what's happening. This is why this is happening. And we stay there to like, to protect, right? Inducing panic. Yes, essentially. Now, the same thing happened a little bit with Cora. So Cora that... Fuck, I'm trying to remember the acronym. We're gonna Google it anyway. CORA talks about overnight repo facilities. So let's just... Bank of Canada. I'll explain it. I explained it a bit earlier, but I'll explain it. All right. Average. Okay. So, okay. We have an issue. Hi, Dmitry. Hi, Dmitry. Sorry. Happy to see you. Yep, using it. You're resistant towards that. The urge has gone up. I'm trying to. So, Canada has an issue that has been known for a long time, which is the fact that we are lacking money. So that sounds a little bit dumb, but essentially, and that's a point that we're going to come back in a quick minute, but during COVID, in order to protect our economy against a lot of damage, we added a lot of temporary money into the economy. So by creating that temporary money, it made sure that the sky wasn't falling down and we still had a fucking home, right? So through the years since COVID, they've been slowly decreasing the quantity of that new money. And the issue is that, like, somewhere in that curve, they were talking about the fact that some banks were essentially doing everything they could to keep as much money in their account as possible. So by keeping that liquidity, it gave them a bunch of advantage throughout the market. I'm going to be transparent, I have no fucking idea what they are and how that part works. I just know that it's somehow good for them and they don't want to give that money away. And when I say give that money away, just to be clear, we're talking about the difference between having something a little bit less liquid, like a bond, or having something that is like pure fucking dollars that you can like send. So that's kind of been an issue for some time that we've been dealing with, but it's pretty much always been under wraps. So whenever shit comes a little bit too fucked, the Bank of Canada will just like put a little bit more in the system, but like nothing big, right? They will for a day just fucking give it a little boost and then continue to push things down. So like this has been known for some time that this issue is happening, right? We see it here. So do we stress about this? I'm plus minus, go to sleep, Nigma. Based. So like we're doing good. It's not really an issue, but it's just that there's a constant pressure towards the fact that we don't have enough money in our system and that some people are hoarding money. So that's what they were talking about with CORA. But like there's nothing there that is fucked. So anyway, I don't know why they were focusing on this as if it was the end of the world. Like, I've not seen any data showing that things are fucked with CORA. Like, that was just made up. Okay. What? Okay. COVID inflation. That one probably triggered me the most. So, they said there was that question essentially saying we saw how bad inflation was under COVID, and they were essentially laying all of that blame on the feet of the bank. And that's probably the worst thing that we've seen today. That to me, if I were a leader, like if I were the guy, like the dictator, that guy would be in jail. That's terrorism, okay? That everybody that says that, they shouldn't talk about anything money related. They're retarded. So in Canada, we essentially had one of the best answer to COVID that any country had, which allowed us, there is the T word, yes, terrorism, okay? We essentially had one of the best answer possible, which was whenever we were raising the rates, we also increased a lot of the money inside of the system to make sure that that liquidity is not an issue. So at the same time that money was costing more, we were also allowing the banks to lend more. Because as soon as you have an issue where you don't have enough money, it creates a bunch of dumb friction through your economy, and it makes sure that essentially your bank cannot loan out things just because they don't have the money. It's not that the trade with the interest rate and all of that is not a good trade. It's just that there's physically not enough money, so they're fucked. So what they did is they put in that temporary money. They call it... Fuck. They have a name for it. It's a really good name. I'm gonna remember it. I'm not going to remember it. Fuck it. Anyway, they put in some temporary money, and when I was doing the graph where I was showing like, oh, it's going down, that's the money that we're talking about. So this was revolutionary because it made the inflation we got in Canada was essentially 100% related to the fact that our economy was not able to supply what people wanted. And whenever that happens, there's nothing you can do. No amount of putting the rates up, of raping the economy will solve anything, because there's literally not enough goods for the economy. So whenever they say the answer was bad for COVID, it's like, hey retard, we literally had one of the best fucking answers like anywhere in the world. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I wanted to punch that asshole. Okay. And yet friends that had a tabletop gaming cafe had to close and sell everything because they could not get certified fast enough to be eligible for all that easy loan money. But in general, plan with... Yes, but here you're talking about like different things, right? So, like government failures. There probably was some government failures and some like private sector failures. I don't disagree with that. The bank was flawless. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to say that the bank had anything wrong in there. Like, the only thing that you could maybe blame them for is that they could have done the fucking rate hikes a month higher. But that would be like, you're asking them to see the future. Like, at that point, we're getting a little dumb. Okay, we're getting a little dumb. Yes, I'm trying to not use it, okay? And the last one was the consumer, I think the good word is sentiment over inflation. The problem is consumer sentiment over anything, but especially inflation, is 100% related to whatever the fuck the news is and to however like people feel. So I'm not even like giving a shit. When he said, oh, people are expecting like 3% right now, but what if they are expecting 4%? Should we do something? It's like, well, it depends. Is it true? Or are they just fucking vibing it, right? So, like, there's a certain point where we don't give a fuck about the customers, but we also have to balance the fact that the bank needs legitimacy. But I think the big issue that the bank has there is that their legitimacy doesn't really come from themselves. Like, they can play the best cards, they can be the best in the world, and people will be swayed one way and another. It comes from politicians, right? So we need politicians that come out and say, okay, like, and I'll read in a quick moment. Like, we need politicians to come out and say, okay, we have our political differences here in the political arena, and that's okay. And we can maybe say, like, this decision by the Bank of Canada was made because of those bad policies of whichever prime minister. That's okay. I'm not against that. But saying things like Pierre Poilievre was doing, which is the conservative in Canada, which is something like, the bank is robbing Canadian, the bank is doing wrong decision, the bank created the inflation, that's treasonous, right? And that's what is destroying that sentiment towards the bank. So here, again, we're asking the bank, which has done nothing to deserve all that fucking rage and skepticism from the population and from the politician, to fix something that they have no power in. So that's kind of triggering to me, right? So overall, that's some good news that we have, because at the very start, when they were talking about uncertainty, they were also outlining the fact that if oil stays up, but the rest of the economy is not really affected by it, we're not going to move. And that's essentially the best thing that you can hear, because they're telling you that they're not going to be retarded over it, right? They're not going to just heighten the rate because of oil if it doesn't affect something else in the economy. Because, like I said, just oil being up, you can move the rate however the fuck you want. Oil is still going to be the same fucking price. Nothing will change there. It's the other thing in the economy that your rates can apply. So I'm very happy that they started with that and that they hammered that nail. I think we went through everything. The word that I was searching for, what happened during COVID is settlement balances. And I truly think that it's a fucking war crime that people that works as journalists, that covers the Bank of Canada, seems to have no fucking vision for what a settlement balance is, and seems to think that it was a bad thing. Like, I don't even know. I'm sorry, that guy that was talking about COVID, I would put him in jail, okay? That's high fucking treason. That the words that he says, that's real fucking bad. Okay. Bye. I am truly, no rage bait, impressed at your extensive knowledge of macroeconomy. I had to take a phone call and watch the stream 2x to get back to real time. Well, I don't think that I know much. Like, I think that I'm at some place. Like, we all know from learning things, because we seem to be people that like learning things, right? Like, you start learning things, and then you think that you know everything, and then you come back down being like, oh fuck, I'm kind of a retard, and then you start going up a bit. I think that I'm there. Like, I don't know much. I just know enough to know when I'm out of my depth. So that's pretty much where I am. And just same time also based. Glad to have you back. Once more, you seem very invested. Yes, because you know more than most people. No doubt about that. That's true. Once more, you seem very invested. Like, it's hard to convey how important this is. And it's true for your country, right? So over in Sweden, you have a central bank, and it's You become invested in, and you talk without knowledge. What? Okay. I'm going to assume that I misread the fuck out of this. Okay, in Sweden and in every country, well, in Europe it's different, but in the EU directly. Sweden has a central bank because you have your own currency. Yeah, okay. So the central bank is so pivotal to how the economy works that if they are to fuck up, you're going to be out of a home. But most people don't understand that. They don't understand that the central bank can, in and of themselves, through good or bad, like, policies, actually make the difference between your economy being a place that you want to live in or a place that you don't want to. Like, if you want a good meme, if you want to see how fucking important it is, right now in Russia, the Russia Central Bank governor, I guess, that woman, okay, she is, like, really fucking good at her job. Like, she's crazy good. But the issue is that she wanted to not work there anymore. She was like, I'm done with the central bank. And they are currently essentially keeping her hostage. Okay, she's there and she cannot leave her job. And that's because even if the the whole Russian economy is essentially working on sticks and half of it has been annihilated and the rest of it is currently in fire, this woman has managed to keep it together and make it not collapse. So that's how fucking important these people are and how not replaceable these people are. Like, they are insanely powerful, insanely good people. And those are grueling jobs, right? Because you're telling yourself you can be perfect and the people will hate you. Because it's never perfect enough. It's a little bit like a politician, but without the people, like, on your side. There's only me on their side, okay? Anyway. Did you need to check that? Yeah, I needed to check if... I'm assuming that you're talking about if Sweden had a central bank. Yes, I wanted to confirm, because if you check if, like, Germany has a central bank, they don't really have one, because it is, like, directly linked to the EU. So that's what I wanted to know, okay? They have, like, they do have a central bank, but like, they're a slave of the EU, so it's like not the same thing. Okay. You could say they're inflated. Yes, I'm trying to read all of that anyway. Okay, fuck. I'm assuming that I misread everything that you sent, Nigma, because you are the rage bait king, okay? The king. There's no better rage baiter than you, okay? No better rage baiter. Alright. Fucking hell. But overall, that was a nice thing. Goddamn, I'm triggered about that that COVID guy. Fucking hell. That's so disgusting. Yes, I'm aware of that, and that's why I made that note right under and beware of the message. I say as if, okay. Okay, I guess. We need Tyson where you explain the rage bait scale of the chat people. True! At the very start of the stream, Nigma, I said, let's do the explanation again. Okay, so there's like, this is a continuum, okay? So this is like, on the left, you have rage bait. Like this is squarely inside of like rage bait territory. And on the right, you have like humor. You have jokes. Like, fuck. Bro, just delete it. You have jokes. So I was talking about the fact that MB's joke look like this, right? Normal people's joke, they look like this. Like their rage bait or their jokes. But MB is always like halfway there. Like the start of the statement is always like made for me to be triggered. And the the end of it, I'm like, ah, fuck, it's a joke. And I was talking about that fun little thing. And then I added the detail. Yeah, but Nigma is squarely there, okay? Nigma is the purest form of rage bait. He talks about how he ate his fucking supper. And he managed to be pure, unmitigated rage bait against his own will. I'm not the rage bait king. I'm just secretly a bad person. That's not what we're talking about. I was just to say, not like that. But just me being outside. I just exist, man. I know. Okay, I know that you're not trying. Okay, let me just... I know that's not what you meant, okay? Like, let me read this in the way I'm still reading this. I'm sure that's not what you meant. Maple Circuit Live. You become invested, and so you talk without knowledge. Essentially, you're talking out of your ass, while I'm making detailed explanation about the history of things and explaining you why things matter. Then you become actually knowledge, and that's when you start drinking, and suddenly your wife leaves you. Like, I understand that it was a joke. I think that it was a two-part joke. But like, I'm reading the first part, and I'm like, what the fuck is he trying to say? Does he think that everything that I just said was like a fucking meme? So... I see it now, and yes, that was not directed at you. Yes, I think that what you were saying is, when I made the graph, you were essentially talking about the people that are there, and whenever they get there, right? So, talking out of your ass, and here is like, you're starting to know so much that your wife leaves you, right? I guess, I get that, like, anyway. Like, I get that, but in my first reading... Like, when I read it 3 times and I'm still like, what the fuck is he going at here? And I'm like, if that was MB that said that, I would be like, MB, tell me that's a joke, because that's fucking rude. Social cues are overrated. True. We are likes you and your comment. Absolutely, we do like you, Nigma. Okay, don't... When I make these comments, right, about you being pure rage bait, I know that it's against, that it's like against your will. You're not doing this voluntarily, and I appreciate that. I love you. Okay, I do love you. Please, do not think otherwise. But like it is, it is to me when I'm reading this, I'm like holding a little bit. I'm like, okay. If I was a British army, I would have already like a fucking 100 people shooting at the same time. But anyway, we're all doomies aware. Holy shit, you finally get it. Yeah, of course I get it. I'm not doing it with your awareness. It's called a theory of mind. My friend, don't try to explain whatever the fuck you're going at. The reality is you just don't understand how I receive the message, and that's all. Like, you cannot read a message while understanding how somebody else will get it. And that's your way of saying that. Alright. That was fun. That was fun, okay? Let's fucking get in there. Let's get back. Let's get back. Okay. I think the word you seek is awareness. It is understanding, but okay. Yes, that's why I said this message that you wrote is your way to say that. But like, you're making it sound so much complicated, but the reality is just, you don't understand how I read things. That's okay, right? That's okay. Alright, let me fucking blow my nose. Like, the main reason why I'm saying it like that is because I can mostly, whenever I send a message that is directed to MBE, I am able to understand how he will receive it. I can see his reaction before he receives the message. And when those two things are not the same, right? When his reaction doesn't fit what I thought his reaction would be, that's when I start asking more questions, because I'm like, oh fuck, my understanding of how he views things was fucked. And that whole interaction is something that is severely decreased in your case. And that's why whenever we're having a discussion, I often, and most people, often takes things as rage bait, because while you see one thing, we don't see that thing. We only see the thing from our point of view, and we're kind of fucked. Anyway, enough. I know you don't like it when we talk too much about it. It's enough, okay? We're done. We're done with this part. Let's fucking go. Okay. Let's fucking go. So here, we've got a preprocessor directive. We need to detect it. And once we detect it, we need to do some magic with it. Now, we were not sure how we would want to make it work. So I don't fucking know. Okay. Are we going to really do like an empty init? Oh, maybe not. Maybe we can use the line init and provide the identifier later. Yeah, I'm aware of that fact of people. Nice. Apply it. Okay. That was a little bit rude. Alright. So, okay. What information do we have out of the blue? Like, right at the start, what information can we feed through that CPPFDEF? So, whenever we're at that stage, we should have the... Bro, that's not what I wanted. Or I can look there. Okay, we should have... So we passed that stage, we should have that information. Or we should have, if it's define, we have the define, or if it's something else, we have something else. So we should be able to look at the next token following this and use it to send it in the right category. So let's just do that. And whenever we're there, let's just... Wait, did I go down? Fuck. Okay. So the line number and so that when we're done, column 29, line 9, let's just check the how real that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, fuck! 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay. better to do it in French, okay? 11. Yeah, that's the one I'm searching, okay? Yeah, no, we're good. Good job. You know what to count. I feel like I'm... My daughter only knows how to count to 10, okay? So that's where we are. All right. So from the start, so when we're at that token here, if we go for the length of the cursor, we're going to be able to get the full length of the thing. So that's a fair way to see things. Let's go with that. So whenever we have that, we should do a match case for whatever the fuck we're processing token-wise. Dempole. True! So we should do a match case for all the possible directives. And then pass along the information we need, I guess. I'm trying to see how we could make it simple instead of having like a big data structure, a big structure where we have like 1600 fucking match. Should I put it inside of a of a function? Probably. Wait, let's go check how a define is done. No, that's not the one that I want. We want to look at the end line. Yeah, we want to look at an end if. End if, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, end if. Oh shit, okay. Alright, fuck, the match case will need to be inside of this. Okay. Brain restored. Okay. We're doing good. We're doing so good. So match, and we're gonna do token dot meaning. Is that the meme? Yeah, I think that's the meme. And then we do case. And the different cases. Can I stop going to the fucking repo? Oh, it's because it's 2 levels of things. You know what? Let's put it here. You cannot delete that much messages, Nigma. Okay, that's too much. Too much. Okay. We're getting through it. We're getting the fuck through it. Okay. CPP. It's CPP reference, right? And then we go down, we go to the keywords. Ah! Keywords. Did I fucked it up again? I did. Alright. So we're gonna need to detect all of these. Bro, I'm going to pee. Give me a minute. Message rejected. Base. We need to remove the ability to delete messages as a mod. I can't remove that. But I think can as a... no, that's not something that we can do. Like if we go in the setting, it's not an option. Who the fuck did this? Did I do this? Who do I have as fucking manager? Because that one's a good one, okay? That one is a pretty good one. That's a good fucking meme. I did. Okay, nice one, but we're not doing it. That's... but it doesn't work. Yeah, I think it's for comments under the video. Because I think your management applies under videos too. I don't have it in users. Oh, yeah. I'm okay with that. All right. Okay, there's an option. All right. Okay. So. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. I'm not on top chat. We need an owl, okay? We need an owl. We should be able to have, like, channel emotes, okay? We should have, like, RAM on speed dial. Like the golden work RAM. And we should have, like, the can. I like the can, too. The can is one of... Like, how does he... Where is the can? Is it at the bottom? Where's the fucking can? Fuck, we're not going to find it. We need Rust. Rust. Legends say if we say his name 3 times, he'll appear. Rust. 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 We need a can. Fuck, where did he find it? Fuck me, I guess. He always uses these retarded little emotes. Like this one. If only we could put some of them first. You know what? Sometime I'm going to... We're going to have our own chat and our own software for this, okay? Yeah, I found it. Yeah, we got it. One day. One day. Okay. Alright. How retarded do we want to get this? Yeah, let's not be too retarded. Okay, so we want to find the spelling of the token and then apply the specific AST item for it. So let's first just copy over all of this shit so that we have one of everything. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Look at my fucking density, okay? I don't think if we should like keep those C23 things, but we'll see, we'll see. All right, we had the thing. So let's start by copying all of this. Let's do this. Oh no, we can do better. Look at this. Match. And we should do something like this. Yeah. Okay, and then we do selection. Add cursor. How did I do that? I don't remember how I did it. Multi-cursor and edit. Or not. Yeah, I think it's an extension that you have, but like I can like do this. How did we make it last time? Oh, bro, I got it. I got it. I'm a retard. Look at this. Holy shit. Okay. What the fuck is this? Okay. So now we need to do this, new line, and probably put pass in there just so that we don't take our own lives. Let's do this, selection, line end. I just came. Okay, we're good. So just put a logger in there. Stack clue. Without the extension, getting dementia. That's a funny way to say it. Okay. Okay, that feels so fucking good. God damn. Okay. I need to chill. I need to chill. Okay. So let's just go through each item and think about what we can do with them. So first, let's do with the if. And we should most likely add it to the stack. Let's just assume that we add it to the stack, okay? Let's assume that for now. Is it true? Is it not true? We'll know. Okay. So we init it. So when we init it. Okay, you're raging. I see, I see. Okay. So if we have a if, we init that thing. So we can pass along a line from the cursor. We did it before. Let's go steal how we did it before. Cool. But here, it's not the token, it's the cursor. Wait, what? Oh. It's a cursor kind. Maybe we should just create a cursor thing just so that it's like cleaner. I would have a dictionary for the keyword function, manage them and call function, easy to add new keyword, smaller main function. I agree with you. The issue that I have here is that we're gonna have more than just that, right? So if might have like 6 components to it, and elif might have 5. So that's why I'm going away from the dictionary thing. But that create invisible branching, so your solution might be too good too. Yeah, I guess we see the same issue. All right. Yeah, that name is too big, right? That's kind of retarded. Let's just call that cursor. Oh fuck, I said the word. We prefer to say cursor kind. Okay. All right. So if we have the line, now the next thing that we need from that if okay. Fuck the expression for now. Let's just put that like that. Fuck the expression. And because it's an if, we put it on the stack and we end all the rest of it later. Right? Right. Cursor kind, assume segregation is happening somewhere. Based! We love segregation. Okay. So here, once we run this, right, do we need to run any more, or can we just continue right through? Could we have overlap that would be important for us to notify something else? Fuck. Let's create a variable. Let's call it bypass. Fuck it. And each time we start, or maybe we can do this. And each time we start this, we can go bypass equals false. So here you might ask, Maple, what kind of retardation are you doing here? There is a world where you would want to be able to go through all the items of your stack without necessarily processing the underlying thing. So we don't want to run this, but we might want to run some special thing in relation to whatever the fuck we are doing. Yeah. Are you understanding my fucking words? Retard. Okay. I ask as you ordered. Okay, cool. Oh, I said you might ask. Nice one. Yes, Maple. This is something we do in assembly 20 times over. Don't worry, you're not stupid. Okay, cool. Alright. So that's one thing. Let's do the same thing with else if. Okay. And let's find where the... Maybe that's a bad naming scheme here. Elif? Which one is true? Oh, it's Elif. Okay. Sorry. Like that. Cursor extent. We're gonna do this. Oh, fuck now. I'm hungry. Okay, we're doing this quickly and I'll go fucking eat, okay? Else, we in it with the line. We don't need anything else. Cool. So that's already good. End if. Wait, why? We're also going to try to make these in order. What the fuck am I doing? These should always work, okay? They should just always work. And if line, cool. Hi, Hungry, I'm dead. I like the fact that you said something retarded and then instantaneously deleted it. Okay, now if def. Let's go to if def and let's put it at the right place. If and def, if def, okay. And we're probably going to review the type IDs anyway. Cool. Okay. So that one we need to do this. And if and def, we need to do the same thing. Okay. You know that we have to rerun the interest rate. I agree. I'm dead. Yeah. Yep, we know that. Don't worry. We know it. We are reminded of it often. Okay, where is that Oh, is it because it's the type of things that are actually not in the CPP version that we are using? Of course! So we skipped it. Based. Very based. Very nice. Yep, okay. So let's create them. Why am I retarded? Why do I use that word? I need to stop. It hurts some people's feelings, and I do care about these people's. So, fuck you. Well, I gave up on that. Laptop, keyboard, enhance, pains 1. Keyboarding is hard. Well, I'm starting to get better at reading your messages, okay? So we're doing good, we're doing good. I was just about to comment on that, and I apologize. I'm not trying to poke Maple, I just need to... apologize. About keyboard? Or about my use of a word? I'm really trying, okay? I swear. Capitalization is important. True! Bro, can you resolve that, please? And stop being like... Oh, it's not at the top. It's not at the top. I'm like railing against it. And it's not even its fault. And also... Order... You know what? I want my fucking shit to be built like a British parliament. It's 100% fucked, but at least we have order. Alright. Let's get to define. So from the define, these later enhance. These later things are not important right now. So let's just do that same thing for define. I think we're going to end up doing all of that same thing everywhere, but... Oh, I guess there's some that we're going to not put on the stack afterward. You know what a proper programming seating position is to boost productivity by 42%? Nope. The Python logo. Oh yeah. So I've got to sit ass to ass with somebody else, and someone's got to be upside down. And be like this. Hi guys, I'm programming. Of course not. The programming spine, nice one. I'm trying to not have my head like this, but it's hard. It's hard. It's hard, folks. Cope. Alright, so essentially we're just doing copy-paste. And I'm just a bit dumb. So let's just get in there. Let's get in there! You know what? I'll take the L if it fucks up. I think it's handled differently. I don't think we have embed. We don't. Alright, let's keep the order. Define undef. Define undef. Include, that's fair. And then we have whatever the fuck this is. Embed. Can we have this? This. Let's call it 999. 999. Doom. 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 Doo doo doom doo doom. Doom doo doom. 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 Doo 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 doom. Yes, I'm doing Minecraft music out here. That fucking cracked disc is absolute fire. That's God tier. Okay, so we have that one. Let's put it in between line and include. We need order. Okay, let's go check line and error. Line. Error. Pragma. Pragma balls. Okay. Wait. Why is there an error? Whoops. Pragma what? Pragma balls. Wait, what? We didn't have warning? Didn't I just see warning? Line, error, pragma. Oh, warning's not there. Let's not write this again. Okay, let's save ourselves from the embarrassment. Here we go. Okay. And this one is right over pragma. So right over pragma. Here we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah, I'm purging a lot of code left and right, so. The fuck are you talking about, Nigma? I'm doing great, okay? This is the biggest fucking parser in my shit. And it's like 1,000 line. Just that. And it's probably going all in the garbage anyway, so. Like this whole fucking ASD thing, so from line 300 to something else, it's going down. One might even say, we're gonna do a genocide. Okay. Alright. Is this not a thing that we have? Defined. Get my defined in order. Did I say hi, Rust? Hi, Rust. What lovely comment will I turn my head to today? None! What the fuck? That's true, I tried to summon your name. How you doing, Rust? The iconic red timeline is gone. What the fuck have you done? Bring it back! Ah! Oh, that looks retarded. Okay. I don't know, they don't work in the same way, right? Not that. Are those like inline things? I love that it doesn't give me any fucking information as include. Checks whether they... What the fuck? Yes, I'm gonna need an explanation on that. Okay, so yes, it is just an inline thing that will say yes or no. Okay, so I need to treat them differently. Cool. You said that it worked, but just took a while. Why are you apologizing? I'm fucking confused. Fuck this. Okay, that looks good. Now, like I said, I need to go eat because my mind's not there. So I'll eat, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be full programming, no politics. And we're gonna start to build this shit for real. But yeah, for the rest of the day, I just want to play fucking Crusader King. Well, Nigma, I'm not going to be there for your return, okay? Love you, brother. Go to sleep. Oh fuck, he's already gone. Alright. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll do the groceries because I did not do it today. So it's going to be... Well, if everything goes correctly, I'm going to be there like 10:30, probably. Probably. Maybe sooner. Maybe 10. But yeah. That's the idea. That's the plan. But yeah. Going to game today. Need to relax. And maybe do some work tonight on this. Anyway, bye-bye. Love you all, okay? I love you all. Have a great day. Have a great life. Bye-bye.